Michael accepted the offer on a Wednesday afternoon. The base salary was exactly what he had asked for, but the detail that made him close the other tabs on his browser was a single bullet point under the benefits section: open vacation policy. He thought he was buying back his time. 2.5 years later, when he handed in his laptop, he expected his final deposit to include a payout for the 4 weeks of unused time he had accumulated by working through the holidays. The deposit cleared the next morning. The vacation payout was zero. What Michael didn't understand, and what the onboarding process is structurally designed to obscure, is that an open vacation policy is not an employee perk. It is a financial defense mechanism. Most professionals view paid time off as an exchange. You work, you earn a day, you keep that day. When a company provides a traditional fixed number of vacation days, they are legally granting you a form of deferred compensation. To the finance department, those accrued days sit on the balance sheet as a corporate debt. It is a liability they eventually have to pay out. Here is the part the finance department understands perfectly. Unlimited PTO does exactly one thing. It wipes that corporate debt to zero. Because you were never granted a specific number of days, you never officially accumulate anything. And because you accumulate nothing, the company owes you nothing when your employment ends. Michael didn't win a flexible lifestyle. He signed a document that legally dissolved his future payout
before he ever attended his first meeting. But the accounting maneuver is only the foundation. The real mechanism operates psychologically. When a company removes the official numerical limit on vacation, they do not actually eliminate the boundary. They simply make the boundary invisible. Employees tend to read this lack of a published cap as ultimate freedom, but what it actually means is that the threshold for acceptable time off becomes whatever management quietly decides it is. There is a concept in organizational psychology called the Norm Cascade. When there are no written rules, people look upward to figure out how to survive. If your department head answers emails on a Sunday and takes exactly one long weekend a year, that behavior silently establishes your absolute maximum. The system doesn't need a policy to cap your vacation days. Your own anxiety about standing out does the heavy lifting for them. Listen to the vocabulary you use. When you have accrued vacation time, you inform your team that you are taking it. It is your earned capital. You own it. When your time off is unlimited, you ask if it is a good time to take it. You are no longer spending an asset. You are requesting a favor. This psychological shift
fundamentally alters the power dynamic. It places the employee in a state of perpetual indebtedness. Every time Michael requested a week off, he felt the need to overcompensate. He absorbed extra weekend deployments and stayed quiet during difficult client calls, entirely to ensure his manager would approve his next break. The unlimited system manufactures guilt to ensure you manage your own output upward.
Now consider what happens when someone actually tries to use the unlimited policy to its full extent. The common assumption is that as long as your performance is strong, the days don't matter. But performance alone is rarely what protects you during a corporate restructuring or a layoff. While there is no official cap, your absences are still being noticed, logged, and evaluated. When headcount reductions are mandated by the executive team, managers have to build lists. During those calibration meetings, an employee who frequently utilizes the unlimited policy is rarely penalized explicitly for taking vacation. Instead, their cost-to-output ratio is quietly adjusted downward. They are labeled as lacking dedication or failing to meet the culture fit. The unlimited policy gives the organization the perfect legal cover to penalize you for taking the exact time they marketed to you. The system relies on your hesitation. To navigate it, you have to replace the missing structure with your own. If you are operating inside an unlimited PTO framework, you cannot afford to wait to discover the unspoken rules. You must establish them. During your first 90 days, in a standard check-in, you set the anchor. You state, "In my previous roles, my rhythm for maintaining peak output included about 4 weeks of unplugged time annually. I plan to pace myself similarly here to ensure I don't burn out." You are normalizing a specific metric before the environment can impose a silent one on you.
Furthermore, you stop framing your time off as an apology. You use declarative language. I will be offline next week, and I have aligned with the team for coverage. You remove the emotional weight of the request and present a solved operational problem. Michael walked away from his job, expecting a check that the system had legally engineered out of existence 2 years earlier. The company didn't take his money. They didn't need to. He had voluntarily surrendered it in exchange for a corporate buzzword. Your time is the only asset you cannot earn back. A company offering you an unlimited amount of it isn't being generous. They are asking you to step into a room without walls, knowing perfectly well that most professionals will huddle nervously in the center rather than explore the edges. The boundaries aren't broken by loyalty. They are managed by understanding the math your employer hopes you never do.
If this is the kind of mechanism your company deliberately left out of the onboarding packet, this channel covers it every week. Subscribing means the next one finds you before the situation does. To make sure you navigate the permission trap correctly, download our free PTO request framework below. It gives you the exact scripts to lock in your time without handing over your leverage.